Right now, a monster storm system is barreling across the United States, and the latest forecast models just made everything significantly worse. We are talking about a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk of severe weather, hurricane-force winds exceeding 75 miles per hour, a historic blizzard dumping up to 50 inches of snow, and a tornado outbreak that could produce strong, long-track tornadoes across more than a dozen states. Over 12 million Americans are sitting inside the most dangerous zone right now, and many of them do not even know it yet. Here is what I need you to do. In the next 60 seconds, I am going to tell you exactly which 270-plus cities are in the direct path of this storm. I am going to give you the exact hour this hits your area, when it peaks, and when it finally moves out. But I need you to do something for me first. Drop a comment right now with the name of your city or your state. Tell me where you are watching from, because I am going to be updating forecasts in the comment section for specific locations. The more specific you are, the better I can help you prepare. And stick with me until the 5-minute mark, because that is where I am going to reveal the one part of this forecast that almost nobody is talking about yet, the part that could make Monday the most dangerous day we have seen in years. Now let me give you the full picture of what is unfolding right now, because this is not just one storm. This is a three-headed monster. We have a severe weather outbreak with tornadoes and destructive winds. We have a historic blizzard burying parts of the Midwest under 2 to 4 feet of snow. And we have a dangerous heat dome building on the West Coast that is about to shatter records. 3 extreme weather events all happening at the same time, all from the same massive storm system. That almost never happens. And the fact that all 3 are occurring simultaneously tells you just how powerful this storm system is. The energy driving this thing is off the charts. Let me start with the most immediate danger, the severe weather outbreak that is already underway today across the central United States. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a large level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk of severe weather stretching from Indianapolis all the way down to Monroe, Louisiana, running right along the Mississippi River Valley. That alone would be a big deal. But here is the twist that just happened in the last few hours. They just issued a second enhanced risk zone covering the Florida Panhandle, Alabama, and Georgia. That is right, we have a double-barrel enhanced risk of severe weather today. 2 separate danger zones firing at the same time. I cannot remember the last time we had 2 enhanced risk areas simultaneously for the same storm system. This is unusual, and it tells you that forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center are seeing something in the data that is making them very concerned. The biggest concern right now is widespread damaging winds. We are anticipating a massive squall line stretching all the way from Michigan down into Texas. That is a line of thunderstorms spanning over 1,000 miles from north to south. Wind gusts could easily reach 60 to 80 miles per hour this afternoon and evening. To put that in perspective, a Category 1 hurricane has sustained winds of 74 miles per hour. We are talking about wind gusts that match or exceed hurricane force within these thunderstorms. That is strong enough to snap mature trees in half, rip down power lines, flip trampolines into your neighbor's house, tear shingles off rooftops, and cause widespread power outages that could last for days. If you have anything loose in your yard right now, you need to go outside and bring it in immediately. But the wind is not the only threat. Down near the Gulf Coast, a few thunderstorms will be capable of producing hail the size of tennis balls and even baseballs. We are talking about hailstones 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter, slamming into cars, rooftops, and anything left outside. One baseball-sized hailstone can shatter a car windshield on impact. It can punch through vinyl siding on a house, and it can cause serious injury or even death if it hits someone who is caught outside. The hail threat extends from eastern Texas through Louisiana and into southern Mississippi and Alabama. Now, here is something that makes today's tornado setup particularly interesting and particularly dangerous. We actually have 2 separate tornado risks happening simultaneously. Let me explain both of them because they are very different in nature and they affect different parts of the country at different times. The first tornado risk is embedded within the main squall line along the Mississippi River Valley. As that massive line of thunderstorms races east, tornadoes will spin up within the line itself. These are called embedded tornadoes, and they develop when small-scale rotations form along the leading edge of the squall line. Any tornado that develops today within this line could be strong. We are talking EF2 or higher on the enhanced Fujita scale, which means winds of 111 to 165 miles per hour. The hatched area on the Storm Prediction Center Outlook, which indicates the potential for strong tornadoes, covers this entire risk zone. But there is another wrinkle. There could also be discrete supercell thunderstorms firing out ahead of the main line late this afternoon. Discrete means these storms would be individual, isolated cells operating independently from the main line. And if that happens, the tornado threat jumps dramatically because an isolated supercell in this environment could easily produce a strong to intense, long-track tornado. The environment is just loaded with wind energy. We have a screaming low-level jet pushing 40 to 60 knots at 4,000 to 6,000 feet above the ground. That kind of wind shear is exactly what supercells need to produce significant tornadoes. The second tornado risk is lurking in the southeast late tonight. After midnight, a couple of rogue supercells could develop over Alabama and Georgia. These could produce long-tracked, strong tornadoes in the darkest hours of the night when most people are asleep. This is the scenario that keeps forecasters up at night, literally, because nocturnal tornadoes are among the deadliest types of severe weather events in the United States. You cannot see them coming in the dark. You cannot hear them over the sound of wind and rain from the broader storm system. And if you do not have weather alerts set up, you might not know one is bearing down on your neighborhood until it is too late. Statistics show that nocturnal tornadoes are 2.5 times more likely to be deadly than daytime tornadoes. That is why I am spending so much time on this particular threat. It is the one that worries me the most. Let me give you the exact timing now, city by city, so you know precisely when to be on high alert. I am going to walk you through the entire progression of this storm system hour by hour, and do not skip ahead because after I walk you through today, I am going to show you why Monday could be even worse. That information starts at the 5-minute mark, and you absolutely do not want to miss it. Starting with what is happening right now around lunchtime. If you are in Wisconsin or eastern Iowa, isolated large hail is already possible. Keep an eye on the sky and be ready to get inside if storms develop near you. By 1 to 2 o'clock Central Time, storms will begin firing up along the cold front boundary. In central Missouri, the squall line will start forming. This is the beginning of what will become a massive, organized line of severe thunderstorms. At this point, the storms may not look that impressive yet, but they are about to explode in intensity. By 2 to 3 o'clock, that squall line will be rapidly intensifying. If you are in central Missouri, central Illinois, or anywhere along the Mississippi River corridor, this is when your danger window opens. The storms will be gaining access to more and more atmospheric energy as the afternoon heating kicks in. Storm fuel in the form of CAPE will be increasing rapidly during this window. By 4 o'clock, the line will be approaching western Illinois all the way down to the Texas-Louisiana border. Cities at risk include Springfield, Illinois, Quincy, Texarkana, Shreveport, and everything in between. Damaging winds will be the primary threat, but embedded tornadoes will start becoming a bigger concern as wind shear increases through the afternoon hours. If you are in these areas, you should already be in your safe location or very close to it by 4 o'clock. Now here is where it gets really dangerous. Between 5 and 6 o'clock Central Time, the squall line will be racing across Illinois. The wind shear aloft is going to be screaming with strong southwesterly winds. This is when we need to watch closely for any semi-discrete or fully discrete supercells developing ahead of the main line. If a supercell manages to break free from the line in this environment, a strong or even long-track tornado would be very possible. This is not a guarantee. It is not a slam-dunk forecast when it comes to discrete cells forming today. But if it happens, the tornado threat goes through the roof. Cities in the crosshairs include Peoria, Bloomington, Champaign, Decatur, and Springfield, Illinois. If you are in any of these cities, you need to be watching the radar closely between 5 and 7 o'clock this evening. Here is a critical detail that most people are not aware of. Some of these same areas in central Illinois that get hit by severe thunderstorms today are going to turn around and get hit by snow just several hours later. That is how dynamic and powerful this storm system is. You could literally go from a tornado warning to a winter storm warning in the same night. When a storm system is capable of producing that kind of extreme contrast over just a few hours, you know you are dealing with something truly significant. By 7 to 8 o'clock Central Time, the squall line will likely be reaching its peak intensity. This is the most dangerous window for the central part of the country. Indianapolis, get ready. This line is going to be moving through the metro area with damaging winds and the potential for embedded tornadoes. Memphis, this line is headed straight for you. Paducah, Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, you are all in the direct path. The squall line will stretch all the way down to Houston, Texas. Widespread damaging winds and multiple tornadoes will be possible during this time frame. In Arkansas, the storms will be particularly nasty this afternoon and evening. Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Jonesboro, and Hot Springs all need to be on high alert starting around 1 to 2 o'clock Central Time. Thunderstorm activity is going to explode out of nowhere across central Arkansas in about a 2-hour window. By 5 to 6 o'clock, dangerous storms will be screaming across central Arkansas. Model output is showing some interesting features near Hot Springs, with indications of possible rotating updrafts. A tornado from one of these cells is very possible. Jonesboro, watch out around dinner time. By 7 to 8 o'clock, the line will be approaching Memphis. Once this line crosses the Mississippi River, it will be producing hurricane-force wind gusts and embedded tornadoes. The low-level jet will be at its strongest during this evening time frame, fueling the storms with incredible wind energy. For Missouri, let me give you the specific timing. Springfield, storms begin developing around 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Columbia, same time frame. By 3 to 4 o'clock, a line of severe storms will be slamming the St. Louis metropolitan area. St. Louis, if you are hearing this, your window is 3 to 5 o'clock this afternoon. Cape Girardeau and the Boot of Missouri, 6 to 8 o'clock. Some of these areas may even see winter weather on the backside, with snow developing within hours of the thunderstorms moving through. For Kentucky and Tennessee, the western sections of both states will bear the brunt this evening. A massive line of thunderstorms will be sweeping through starting around 6 o'clock. Paducah will get hit first. I think from 4 to around 7 to 8 o'clock in the evening is going to be the prime time frame when this line is at its most intense across western Kentucky and western Tennessee. By 9 to 10 o'clock, the line will be approaching Nashville and extending into southern Kentucky, including Bowling Green. This is going to be a Boeing line of storms capable of producing hurricane-force wind gusts and embedded tornadoes. The low-level jet overhead will be fueling this line with extreme wind energy. We are talking about 50, 60, even 70-knot winds at low levels just feeding into these storms. Chattanooga, expect storms after midnight as the line pushes through the Cumberland Plateau. The further south you get in Tennessee, the worse the storms will be, and the further into the overnight hours, the threat extends. Now I need to talk to everyone about the overnight hours because this is where it gets genuinely frightening. Do not miss this part. A lot of people, millions of Americans in fact, are going to go to bed around 10 or 11 o'clock tonight without checking the weather. They are going to put their phones on silent, turn off the lights, and go to sleep. And that is extremely dangerous tonight. Here is why. Between 10 o'clock tonight and 2 in the morning, the squall line will be blasting through Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and deep into the southeast. Cincinnati, expect storms around 11 to midnight. Lexington, Kentucky, storms around 10 to midnight. Nashville, Tennessee, around 9 to 11 o'clock. Huntsville, Alabama, 10 o'clock to midnight. Birmingham, Alabama, 10 to midnight as well. You are all in the path during hours when most people are normally asleep. For those of you in Ohio, it is going to take until about midnight for these storms to reach you. By that point, the northern mode of the storm system will have weakened somewhat, but do not let your guard down. A couple of weeks ago, Ohio experienced a damaging tornado event, and we do not want to repeat. Damaging wind gusts and even an embedded tornado cannot be ruled out, especially across the southern half of the state. Columbus, Cincinnati, and Dayton have your alerts ready for midnight to 2 in the morning. Cleveland, Erie, and Pittsburgh will see the storms push through between midnight and 3 in the morning. The line will have lost some intensity by then, but there is still going to be a lot of heavy rain with some embedded storms later in the evening. Just be aware of damaging wind gusts and do not completely rule out a tornado. For Indiana, the southern half of the state will bear the worst of it. The squall line is going to take until around dinner time or after to reach all the way into Indiana. Indianapolis, your window is roughly 7 to 10 o'clock this evening. Evansville, your window starts earlier, around 5 to 7. I think they could increase the severe weather threat in the next update for Evansville. The further south you are in Indiana, the more intense the storms will be. This is going to be a long and dangerous evening for the Hoosier State. For Michigan, the southern half of the state will see the tail end of the severe weather threat. Northern Michigan is dealing with a completely different scenario, a historic blizzard. But southern Michigan, from Detroit to Ann Arbor to Kalamazoo, could see damaging winds late tonight as the weakened line pushes through. It is going to look like a lot of heavy rain with some embedded storms, but do not let your guard down. And now the part that worries me the most: the nocturnal tornado threat across the Deep South. Between midnight and 6 in the morning, isolated supercells could fire across southern Alabama, southwest Georgia, and the Florida panhandle. The Storm Prediction Center has placed a 10% strong tornado probability down here, and that is significant for an overnight event. These storms will be feeding off rich Gulf moisture with dew points in the 60s, and the low-level jet will be screaming overhead at 50 to 70 knots. The significant tornado parameter, which is a composite measurement that forecasters use to gauge the potential for significant tornadoes, spikes hard in this area during the pre-dawn hours. Here is what the models are showing for the Deep South overnight. Around midnight, watch for cells developing near Monroeville, Alabama, south of Montgomery, extending into the Columbus and Dothan area. By 2 to 3 in the morning, these cells could be producing tornadoes in an environment that is very favorable for strong and long-track tornadoes. At 3 o'clock in the morning, most people are in their deepest sleep cycle. If a tornado warning is issued at 3 in the morning and you do not have an alert system that will wake you up, you will sleep right through it, and that could be fatal. If you live anywhere from Alabama to Georgia to the Florida Panhandle, you absolutely must have multiple ways to receive weather alerts tonight. A weather radio with the alarm turned on, a phone app that will sound an alert even if your phone is on silent mode. Anything that will wake you up if a tornado warning is issued for your area. Do not rely on outdoor sirens. You will not hear them if you are asleep with the windows closed. Please, please take this seriously. Share this message with everyone you know in the Deep South tonight. Now, here is what I promised you at the beginning. Here is why Monday could be even more dangerous than today, and why this next part of the forecast has me genuinely concerned. Do not miss this section. If you have been waiting for the most important part of this video, this is it. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk of severe weather for Monday along the East Coast. This covers Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Over 12 million people are included in the moderate risk zone alone. And when you add in the enhanced and slight risk areas, which extend from Scranton, Pennsylvania, all the way down to Savannah, Georgia, we are talking about tens of millions of Americans in the danger zone. The enhanced risk at level 3 out of 5 stretches from Scranton, Pennsylvania down to Savannah and includes sections of southeast Georgia. The slight risk at level 2 out of 5 goes from the southern tier of New York all the way down to the Big Bend and Panhandle areas of northern Florida. But here is the number that stopped me in my tracks when I first saw it this morning. The Storm Prediction Center issued a 60% wind probability. Let me explain what that means. That means within any 25-mile radius in the highest risk zone, you have a 60% chance of experiencing damaging winds. That is over a 50% chance. That is how confident they are in damaging winds. I have not seen a 60% wind probability issued in a very long time. This is the first 60% wind probability of the entire season, and it tells you everything you need to know about how confident forecasters are that widespread destructive winds are coming to the East Coast on Monday. There is also a hatched area indicating the potential for significant severe winds exceeding 75 miles per hour. That is hurricane force. We are talking about straight-line winds that can cause the same kind of damage you would see from a Category 1 hurricane rolling through your neighborhood. Trees will come down across roads, power lines will snap like twigs, roofs could be damaged or torn off, cars could be flipped, trampolines and outdoor furniture will become deadly projectiles. Widespread power outages are almost guaranteed across multiple states. Some areas could be without power for days. And then there is the tornado threat. A 15% tornado probability has been issued from Washington, D.C. all the way back into northern South Carolina. We have not had a 15% tornado risk across this particular region in a very long time. The entire risk area is flagged for the potential of strong tornadoes, EF2 or higher on the enhanced Fujita scale. That means winds of 111 miles per hour or greater within the tornado itself. But it gets more concerning. These will be fast-moving tornadoes because the overall storm motion is going to be extremely quick. The storms will be racing northeast at 40 to 50 miles per hour. That means when a tornado warning is issued, you might only have 5 to 10 minutes to take shelter. In some cases, it could be even less. That is why you need your plan ready right now. Know your safe room. Know where you are going. Do not wait until the warning sounds to start figuring it out. Before I walk you through the Monday timing for every major city and region along the East Coast, I want to pause here. If you are just joining this video, please scroll down and drop a comment with your location. I am personally going through every single comment and giving people specific timing for their area. If you live in a small town that I have not mentioned yet, tell me. If you are in a rural area where weather information is hard to come by, tell me. I will do my best to get you the specific timing and threat information you need. Now here is the most detailed state-by-state breakdown for Monday as East Coast severe weather outbreak. This is the section that could save your life or the life of someone you love. Pay close attention. Alabama on Monday morning. Even though the main event shifts to the East Coast, Alabama is not out of the woods. The overnight tornado threat from Sunday night carries right into Monday morning across southern and central Alabama. Florence, Huntsville, and Birmingham will have already been hit by the squall line overnight Sunday. But the concern shifts to the southern half of the state. From Montgomery to Dothan to Mobile, isolated supercells could still be producing tornadoes in the pre-dawn hours between 2 and 6 in the morning. The atmosphere will be slowly stabilizing behind the front, but the low-level jet will still be pumping energy into any remaining storms. By Monday afternoon, the severe weather threat in Alabama should be over. But here is a wild twist. Cold air rushing in behind the system could bring some rare March snow flurries to the northern part of the state. Huntsville and Florence could see brief periods of snow mixing with rain Monday afternoon. Accumulation is not expected, but it will be jarring to see snowflakes falling just hours after dealing with tornadoes and severe thunderstorms. That is how extreme this storm system is. Georgia on Monday, this is one of the states I am most concerned about for the early morning hours. Let me be very specific. Between 4 and 10 in the morning Eastern Time, supercell thunderstorms will be firing across southern and central Georgia. The Storm Prediction Center has identified this as a zone with high-end tornado ingredients. The significant tornado parameter is elevated across southeast Georgia in the pre-dawn hours. Valdosta, Albany, Waycross, and Brunswick need to be on high alert starting as early as 4 in the morning. Do not assume you are safe just because it is early. These storms do not care what time it is. As the morning progresses, storms will push into the Georgia Midlands. Augusta, Macon, and Athens will see severe storms between 8 and noon. Atlanta will see some thunderstorm activity, but the worst of the severe weather should stay east of the metro. However, if you are east of Atlanta, you are in the danger zone. Savannah faces a particular threat from supercells moving in off the coast. Water spouts forming over the warm Gulf waters could come on shore along the Georgia coastline and become tornadoes. By early afternoon, the severe weather threat in Georgia will be winding down as the cold front pushes through and stabilizes the atmosphere. Let me tell you why the timing in Georgia and South Carolina is so concerning from a meteorological standpoint. The low-level jet, which is essentially a river of fast-moving air a few thousand feet above the ground, will be screaming at 50 to 70 knots across this region tomorrow morning. That is a tremendous amount of wind energy just waiting to be tapped by any thunderstorm that develops. At the same time, surface moisture will be extremely high with dew points in the mid to upper 60s. That kind of moisture in March is remarkable, and it provides an enormous amount of fuel for severe thunderstorms. And mixed layer CAPE values, which measure how much energy is available for thunderstorms to use, will be running over 2,000 joules per kilogram in parts of the Florida Panhandle and over 1,500 joules per kilogram into central Georgia. Now here's the key point. You do not need extreme CAPE values when you have this much wind energy. Even 500 joules per kilogram of CAPE in this kind of kinematic environment is enough to produce rotating thunderstorms and tornadoes. So when you combine moderate to high CAPE with an absolute freight train of a low-level jet with surface dew points in the 60s providing abundant moisture, you get exactly what the Storm Prediction Center is warning about, an environment capable of producing strong and potentially long-track tornadoes. South Carolina on Monday, I cannot stress this enough. South Carolina is right in the heart of the moderate risk zone. Let me list every area at risk. The PD region from Florence to Marion to Conway, the Midlands from Columbia to Sumter to Orangeburg, the Low Country from Charleston to Beaufort to Walterboro, and the Grand Strand from Myrtle Beach to Georgetown to Pawleys Island. All of these areas are in the highest threat zone. Monday morning between 6 and 10, expect storms already moving through western and central parts of the state. But here is the critical thing to understand about Monday's setup. The prefrontal convection, meaning the storms that fire out ahead of the main squall line, will be the most dangerous. These are the individual supercell thunderstorms that will have the best chance of producing strong tornadoes. They will be operating in the richest atmospheric environment with the most instability and the most wind shear. By late morning to early afternoon, the main squall line will be pushing through behind them. So you may actually get hit twice, first by the prefrontal supercells and then by the main line. Columbia, your window is approximately 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. Myrtle Beach and Charleston, your window is noon to 5 in the afternoon. Florence and the PD, your window is 11 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. I really think schools should be canceled tomorrow across the eastern half of South Carolina. If your school district has not already made that call, I would strongly recommend keeping your children home. This is going to be a dangerous day. Florida on Monday. Tomorrow is going to be a very stormy day across the entire Sunshine State. The Panhandle and northern Florida face the highest severe weather risk, including the potential for tornadoes, large hail, and damaging wind gusts. Tallahassee, Panama City, Pensacola, Jacksonville, Gainesville, and Ocala all need to be on alert starting at sunrise Monday. Thunderstorms will be widespread from the northeast Gulf pushing inland. By mid-morning, some of the storms developing off the coast could already be producing tornadoes and very large hail as they move onshore. The peninsula of Florida will also see heavy thunderstorm activity. Tampa, Orlando, Fort Myers, and Miami, you will still see strong storms, just a lower tornado probability compared to the Panhandle. But nobody in Florida should be taking this lightly. Even in Central and South Florida, a strong thunderstorm could produce damaging winds or a brief spin-up tornado with little warning. North Carolina on Monday. This state deserves extra attention because the 15% tornado probability zone covers a huge portion of it. Raleigh sits right in the middle of this zone, and that is significant for a city of this size. Model run after model run shows strong supercells developing right along the North Carolina coastline and then tracking inland. The cells that form over the warm waters just offshore will be feeding on extremely high-energy air. These storms could produce strong tornadoes almost immediately upon developing, before they even make it fully onshore. Wilmington, Jacksonville, New Bern, and Greenville, North Carolina, are in the most vulnerable position for these coastal supercells. The western mountains and foothills will see the initial line of storms between 8 and 11 in the morning. Asheville, Boone, and Hickory, this is your early window. Get your preparations done before 8 o'clock Monday morning. Charlotte will see the worst weather between midday and 4 in the afternoon. The storms will look very intense on radar, and some could be producing tornadoes as they race through the metro at 40 to 50 miles per hour forward speed. That forward speed is incredibly important to understand because it means tornado warnings could be issued with very little lead time. You might only have 5 to 10 minutes to get to your safe room, have your shoes by the bed, have a flashlight ready, know exactly where you are going. Raleigh and Durham face the highest threat between noon and 5 in the afternoon. This is within the 15% tornado probability zone and the 60% wind probability zone. Greensboro, High Point, and Winston-Salem, your window is 1 to 5 in the afternoon. Fayetteville, your window is noon to 4 in the afternoon. The Outer Banks from Kill Devil Hills to Cape Hatteras to Ocracoke will see strong storms and possible tornadoes by late afternoon into the evening. Virginia on Monday, another state that is right in the bullseye of the moderate risk. The moderate risk extends across central and eastern Virginia, and the enhanced risk covers an even broader area. Let me break this down region by region so you have exactly what you need. Southwest Virginia, including Roanoke, Blacksburg, and Bristol, will see the line of storms between 11 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. This area may see slightly less severe storms compared to the eastern half of the state because the atmospheric environment will not be quite as primed, but damaging winds are still very much on the table and an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. The Shenandoah Valley from Winchester to Staunton to Lexington will get hit between 1 and 4 in the afternoon. A broken line of rotating thunderstorms is modeled to push through this region. These could produce tornadoes and damaging wind gusts. Charlottesville, your window is 2 to 5 in the afternoon. The model shows some very intense-looking cells developing near Charlottesville, and this area has a 10 to 15% chance of a tornado. Richmond is in the 15% tornado zone and right in the heart of the moderate risk. Your window is 3 to 6 in the afternoon. Expect a combination of prefrontal supercells and then the main squall line. Be ready for the possibility of a strong tornado during this window. Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and the entire Hampton Roads area face a prolonged threat from 2 in the afternoon all the way through 8 in the evening. The moisture in the Tidewater region will be extremely high, with dew points staying in the 60s well into the evening hours. This means the atmosphere will remain unstable for a much longer window compared to areas further west where the cold front will stabilize things more quickly. Fredericksburg will get hit between 4 and 7 in the evening as the squall line races northeast. Now here is something that concerns me about the Virginia and North Carolina corridor, and almost nobody else is talking about this. The sea surface temperatures off the Carolina coast are actually running below average because of the very cold winter that we had this year. You might think that would be good news, and in one way it is. The onshore flow of cooler ocean air could help stabilize the atmosphere right along the immediate coastline. That is probably why the Storm Prediction Center placed the highest tornado probabilities slightly inland rather than right on the coast. But here is the flip side that nobody is mentioning. The area just inland, where the warm, moist southerly air from the Gulf meets the boundary of the cooler marine air flowing in off the cold Atlantic, could create an even sharper contrast in atmospheric conditions. And sharp contrasts in temperature, moisture, and wind are exactly what produce the most violent storms. So while the immediate coastline might actually see slightly weaker storms than expected, the region 20 to 50 miles inland could see the most intense supercells of the entire event. This is a critical twist that most people are not expecting, and it could mean that some of the strongest tornadoes on Monday occur in that sweet spot between the coast and the mountains, Maryland and the Washington, D.C. area on Monday. Let me be extremely specific about timing here because millions of people live and work in this corridor, and the consequences of being caught off guard could be severe. In the morning hours, expect rain and some thunderstorms, but the main severe threat has not arrived yet. Use the morning to finalize your preparations. By early afternoon, around 1 to 2 o'clock, cells will start firing up. Hagerstown and Frederick in western Maryland will see the initial storms arrive. Between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, the intensity ramps up dramatically across central Maryland. Individual supercell thunderstorms may form ahead of the main line, and these could produce tornadoes. The main squall line will be approaching from the west. And then between 5 and 7 in the evening, the main squall line will slam through the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. metro area. This is during the Monday evening rush hour. Millions of people will be on the roads, on highways, in their cars, completely vulnerable to tornado warnings and hurricane-force wind gusts. If you work in the D.C. metro area or in downtown Baltimore, please make arrangements to leave early on Monday. If your employer allows it, work from home. Do not be on the road when this hits. Annapolis and the Eastern Shore will see the storms between 6 and 8 in the evening. Cape values over 1,000 joules per kilogram are modeled in Maryland during the afternoon, which combined with the powerful low-level jet provides all the ingredients needed for a dangerous, severe weather event. A tornado in the Washington, D.C. metro area during rush hour would be catastrophic. This is not hyperbole. This is a real possibility that people need to take seriously. Delaware on Monday. Dover, Wilmington, Delaware, and the rest of the state will see the tail end of the squall line passing through between 6 and 9 in the evening. Damaging winds will be the primary concern, but a tornado absolutely cannot be ruled out. Have your safe room identified and be ready to go at a moment's notice during this window. The Philadelphia area and southeast Pennsylvania on Monday. This region deserves special attention because it is in the enhanced risk zone and the thermodynamic environment will remain favorable for severe weather well into Monday evening. Dew points in the 60s will extend all the way into southeast Pennsylvania, which is very unusual for mid-March. This means the atmosphere will have plenty of fuel to sustain severe thunderstorms even this far north. Philadelphia, the Main Line, Chester County, Delaware County, Bucks County, and Montgomery County, all of these densely populated suburban and urban areas are in the path. Expect the worst weather between 5 and 9 in the evening. A legitimate tornado risk exists even this far north. The low-level jet will be screaming overhead at 70 to 80 knots by Monday evening across the mid-Atlantic region, and that enormous amount of wind energy will be mixing down to the surface in the form of extreme wind gusts even outside of any individual thunderstorm cell. So even if you are in between thunderstorm cells, you could still experience very strong winds. Erie and the northern tier of Pennsylvania will face a different threat entirely: snow on the backside of the storm system. New Jersey on Monday? Newark, Trenton, Atlantic City, and the rest of the state will see storms moving through during the 7 to 10 o'clock evening window. Damaging winds are the main concern, but the tornado risk extends into southern New Jersey particularly. If you are in the southern half of New Jersey, treat this the same way you would treat the Philadelphia area threat. New York on Monday. New York City and the surrounding metro area, Long Island, and the Hudson Valley will see the storms arrive between 8 and 10 o'clock Monday evening. The severe weather threat will be diminishing somewhat by this point as the system loses access to its best environment, but damaging wind gusts are still very much possible. Do not be complacent just because you are at the tail end of the event. The southern tier of New York from Binghamton to Elmira has a slight risk of severe weather. Albany, Syracuse, Buffalo, and the rest of upstate New York face more of a winter weather threat with snow on the backside of the system. Southern New England on Monday night. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and southern New Hampshire will see the last gasp of this system Monday night. Hartford, Providence, Boston, and Worcester could see strong to severe thunderstorms between 9 o'clock in the evening and midnight. Now, here is the thing about New England that people need to understand. The low-level jet actually increases big time over New England during the Monday evening hours. We are talking 70 to 80 knots of wind energy overhead. So even though the storms may be losing some of their organization and thermodynamic support as they move into New England, they will still be capable of producing very strong and potentially damaging wind gusts. Southern New England, do not let your guard down just because you are at the end of the line. You are still going to see some rough weather Monday night. Now let me switch gears and talk about the winter storm side of this system, because what is happening in the Midwest right now is equally historic and equally dangerous in its own way. A massive blizzard is hammering the Midwest as I speak. Blizzard warnings are in effect for nearly all of Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. This is not your typical March snowstorm. We are talking about snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour in the heaviest bands. Let me put that in perspective. 3 to 4 inches of snow per hour means that in the time it takes you to watch a movie, your car could be buried under a foot of snow. Roads will become impassable within minutes when snowfall rates are that high. This is crippling. Shut everything down. Do not leave your house under any circumstances kind of snow. Let me give you the city-by-city winter storm timing and expected totals. Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota. Heavy snow has been falling and will continue through the afternoon and evening. The worst of it should taper off by 10 to 11 o'clock tonight. But even after the snow stops falling, the winds will remain very strong, causing blowing and drifting snow well into Monday. Visibility could drop to near zero at times from the blowing snow alone. Total accumulation will be in the 12 to 18-inch range for the metro area, with isolated spots potentially hitting 20 inches, Des Moines, Iowa. Heavy snow and blizzard conditions will continue through the evening. Visibility is near zero at times due to the combination of falling snow and 50 to 60 mile-per-hour wind gusts. Travel is not just inadvisable, it is flat-out impossible. Stay home. If you are on the road right now, get off it and find shelter. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You are in the bull SI of the heaviest snow band. Snow will be heavy and persistent all day today and well into tonight, not letting up until sometime Monday morning. Total accumulation could reach 18 to 24 inches. Blizzard conditions with wind gusts over 60 miles per hour will create massive snowdrifts that could block doors and cover cars. Check on your elderly neighbors if you can do so safely. Madison, Wisconsin. Same story as Milwaukee. Heavy snow, blizzard conditions, near zero visibility, 12 to 20 inches of snow expected. The snow will continue through the overnight hours and taper off by Monday morning. Green Bay, Wisconsin. You are in the transition zone between the heavy snow to your south and west and the truly extreme snowfall in the Upper Peninsula. 18 to 30 inches are possible. This will be a multi-day recovery event. Schools will likely be closed for multiple days. Wowza, Wisconsin. This is one of the areas where snowfall totals could reach truly historic levels. 2 to 3 feet of snow is expected across the Wausau area. Some forecast models are suggesting totals near 36 inches. That is 3 feet of snow. Wind gusts over 50 miles per hour will create snowdrifts of 5 to 8 feet. This is a life-threatening blizzard. Do not leave your home unless it is a genuine emergency. Make sure you have enough food, water, and medication to last several days. If you lose power, you need to have a plan to stay warm. Marquette, Michigan, and the Upper Peninsula. This is ground zero for the most extreme snowfall in the entire country. Widespread 2 to 3 feet of snow is expected across the Upper Peninsula, with some locations near Marquette potentially approaching 50 inches of snow. Let me say that again so it sinks in. 50 inches. That is over 4 feet of snow from a single storm system. This will be a truly historic event for the Upper Peninsula. We could be talking about one of the biggest snowfall events on record for some of these areas. Grocery stores are already picked clean. I have heard reports from people in central Wisconsin saying their local stores have nothing left on the shelves except alcohol. That tells you how seriously the residents are taking this storm, and it tells you that they know what is coming. Duluth, Minnesota. Heavy snow and blizzard conditions through tonight, 12 to 18 inches expected with wind gusts over 50 miles per hour. Travel is extremely dangerous. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The heaviest snow may be winding down in your area, but dangerous blowing and drifting snow will continue through tonight and well into Monday. Ground blizzards are possible even after the snow stops falling because the loose powdery snow already on the ground will be whipped up by the strong winds and create whiteout conditions. Omaha, Nebraska. Similar situation to Sioux Falls. The main snowfall may be tapering off, but blowing snow and dangerous wind chills will be the main concerns going forward. Chicago, Illinois. You are sitting in one of the most interesting spots in the country right now. You are on the northern edge of the severe weather risk and the southern edge of the winter storm. You could see thunderstorms with damaging winds this afternoon, followed by a changeover to snow tonight. A few inches of accumulation are possible on the backside of the system. It is not every day that you go from a severe thunderstorm watch to a winter weather advisory in the same 12-hour period. Detroit, Michigan. Southern Michigan will see the tail end of the severe weather line passing through tonight with damaging winds possible. Meanwhile, northern Michigan is under blizzard warnings with heavy snow and dangerous conditions. The dividing line between severe weather and winter weather runs right through the heart of your state. Now let me give you the winter storm timing for the eastern states, because the snow side of this storm is not done when it leaves the Midwest. Monday afternoon and Monday night, a band of snow will develop on the backside of the storm system as cold air rushes in. West Virginia, western Pennsylvania, and upstate New York will see moderate to heavy snow. The higher elevations of the Appalachian Mountains could pick up 6 to 12 inches of snow from this band. Here is something fascinating that almost nobody is talking about. If you are in Atlanta, Huntsville, Alabama, Nashville, or anywhere in the northern parts of the Southeast, there is a real chance of snow flurries on Monday afternoon as cold air comes crashing in behind the storm system. Snow in the middle of March across the deep Southeast is a rare sight. It is not expected to accumulate in most areas at lower elevations, but some light accumulation is possible in the higher terrain of Tennessee, Kentucky, and northern Alabama. Nashville could see flurries mixing with rain as temperatures plummet behind the cold front. It is going to be a surreal experience for people in the Southeast who just hours earlier were dealing with severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings. The Ohio Valley from Columbus to Cincinnati to Dayton will see light to moderate snow continuing into Tuesday morning as the storm system slowly pulls away. And then another shot of snow will come through late Tuesday into Wednesday as a small Alberta Clipper system drops down from Canada into the Midwest and Ohio Valley. There is also an icing problem to be aware of. Freezing rain is expected in parts of southern Wisconsin and into northern Michigan. Ice accumulation on power lines and tree branches will add to the already dire power outage situation. Speaking of power outages, as of right now, we are already sitting at 90,000 people without power in Ohio, 51,000 without power in Pennsylvania, 12,000 without power in Michigan, and 15,000 without power in Colorado. And those numbers are going to get much, much worse over the next 48 hours as the severe weather and the blizzard continue to hammer the country. Now let me switch to the West Coast because there is a third extreme weather threat that we need to address. While the eastern two-thirds of the country is getting hammered by severe weather and blizzards, the West Coast is about to bake under a dangerous heat dome that is completely out of season for mid-March. Record-breaking heat is forecast for multiple cities across California, Arizona, and the desert Southwest. Los Angeles could reach 101 degrees Fahrenheit, shattering the previous March record of 99 degrees. Phoenix is forecast to hit 106 degrees. Tucson could reach 103. Yuma, Arizona may hit 107. These would be the first 100-degree days of the year for many of these locations, and we are still in the middle of March. That is not normal. That is not even close to normal. The heat dome will build through the week, starting Monday in California and reaching peak intensity by Wednesday through Friday. Multiple records will be broken, not just daily high temperature records, but potentially all-time March records. Sacramento, Fresno, Bakersfield, Palm Springs, and Las Vegas will all see temperatures climbing well above their normal values for this time of year. This is going to be a multi-day heat event that requires people to take precautions. Stay hydrated. Avoid prolonged outdoor activity during peak afternoon hours. Check on elderly neighbors who may not have adequate air conditioning, and never, ever leave children or pets in a parked car. Temperatures inside a closed car can reach deadly levels within minutes when it is over 100 degrees outside. But here is the final twist in this already incredible weather story. While the West Coast bakes under this heat dome, the cold air pouring in behind our massive storm system in the east is going to produce record low temperatures across parts of the Southeast and Midwest by Tuesday night into Wednesday. So we will have record highs in the West and record lows in the East happening simultaneously across the same country. The temperature difference between Los Angeles and Atlanta could be as much as 70 to 80 degrees. The contrast across the nation will be truly staggering. Now let me make sure I have covered every major city that needs to be paying attention to this storm system over the next 48 hours. For severe weather today, Sunday. The cities at risk include Houston, Beaumont, Lufkin, Tyler, Texarkana, Nacogdoches, and Center in eastern Texas. Monroe, Shreveport, Alexandria, Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, and Lafayette in Louisiana. Jackson, Tupelo, Meridian, Hattiesburg, Columbus, and Greenville in Mississippi. Birmingham, Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, Florence, Mobile, and Dothan in Alabama. Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Jonesboro, Hot Springs, Fort Smith, and Fayetteville in Arkansas. St. Louis, Springfield, Columbia, Cape Girardeau, Joplin, and Jefferson City in Missouri. Memphis, Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Jackson, and Clarksville in Tennessee, Paducah, Louisville, Lexington, Bowling Green, and Owensboro in Kentucky, Springfield, Peoria, Champaign, Bloomington, Decatur, and Carbondale in Illinois, Indianapolis, Evansville, Terre Haute, and Bloomington in Indiana, Atlanta, Augusta, Columbus, Macon, Valdosta, Albany, and Savannah in Georgia, Pensacola, Tallahassee, Panama City, and Fort Walton Beach in the Florida Panhandle, Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, and Cleveland in Ohio later tonight. Detroit and southern Michigan later tonight. For severe weather Monday, the entire eastern seaboard is at risk. Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, Tallahassee, Panama City, Pensacola, Gainesville, and Ocala in Florida. Savannah, Augusta, Macon, Athens, Atlanta, Brunswick, Valdosta, Albany, and Waycross in Georgia. Columbia, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Florence, Greenville, Spartanburg, Sumter, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Georgetown, and Conway in South Carolina. Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Fayetteville, Wilmington, Asheville, Hickory, Jacksonville, New Bern, Greenville, High Point, Boone, and the Outer Banks in North Carolina. Richmond, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Roanoke, Charlottesville, Lynchburg, Fredericksburg, Winchester, Hampton, Newport News, Danville, Blacksburg, and Bristol in Virginia. Baltimore, Annapolis, Hagerstown, Frederick, and the D.C. metro area in Maryland, Dover and Wilmington in Delaware, Charleston, Huntington, Morgantown, and Beckley in West Virginia, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Scranton, Allentown, Reading, Lancaster, Harrisburg, and Erie in Pennsylvania, Newark, Trenton, and Atlantic City in New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, Binghamton, and the Hudson Valley in New York, Hartford, Providence, Boston, Worcester, and Springfield in New England for the winter storm. Minneapolis, St. Paul, Duluth, Rochester, St. Cloud, Mankato, and Brainerd in Minnesota. Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Waterloo, Dubuque, Sioux City, and Ames in Iowa. Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay, Wausau, La Crosse, Eau Claire, Appleton, Oshkosh, Sheboygan, and Fond du Lac in Wisconsin. Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie, Escanaba, Houghton, and Traverse City in the Michigan Upper Peninsula. Sioux Falls, Brookings, Mitchell, and Aberdeen in South Dakota. Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, and Norfolk in Nebraska. Fargo and Grand Forks in North Dakota. That is well over 270 cities and locations across the United States that need to be on high alert over the next 48 hours. Now let me talk about what you need to do right now to prepare, because knowing what is coming is only half the battle. You need to take action. If you are in the severe weather risk zone, make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts tonight and tomorrow. Your phone should have emergency weather alerts turned on. If you have a NOAA weather radio, make sure it has fresh batteries and is turned on with the alarm enabled. Download a weather app that provides polygon-based alerts for your exact location. Do not rely on just one method. Redundancy saves lives, especially during overnight tornado events when you are asleep and cannot hear outdoor warning sirens. Identify your safe room right now, not later, right now. If a tornado warning is issued for your area, you need to be in an interior room on the lowest floor of your home, as far from exterior walls and windows as possible. A bathroom, a closet, or a basement are your best options. If you live in a mobile home, identify a nearby sturdy structure where you can take shelter. Mobile homes are not safe during tornadoes, period. Know where you are going before the warning sounds, because you may only have minutes to act. Bring everything inside from your yard. I am going to say this one more time because it is that important. Anything that can become a projectile in 75-mile-per-hour winds needs to come inside immediately. Patio furniture, trampolines, potted plants, garbage cans, decorations, bird feeders, wind chimes, all of it. Those everyday items become deadly missiles in hurricane-force winds. A plastic lawn chair can go through a window at those speeds. A trampoline can become airborne and crash into a house. Charge all of your devices right now. Widespread power outages are likely in multiple states from both the severe weather and the blizzard. Make sure your phones, tablets, laptops, and portable battery banks are fully charged before the storms arrive. Fill your car with gas today while the power is still on and the gas stations are still operating. Have flashlights and extra batteries ready. If you have a generator, make sure it has fuel and that you know how to operate it safely. Never run a generator indoors. If you are in the blizzard zone, do not travel. I cannot state this strongly enough. Roads are already impassable in parts of Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Visibility is near zero in the heaviest snow bands. People who try to drive in these conditions risk getting stranded, and a stranded vehicle in a blizzard with wind chills dropping well below zero can become a deadly situation very quickly. If you absolutely must travel, keep an emergency kit in your car with warm blankets, bottled water, non-perishable food, a flashlight, extra batteries, and a fully charged phone. For those on the West Coast dealing with the approaching heat dome this week, take the heat seriously, even though it is March. Stay hydrated by drinking water throughout the day. Avoid prolonged outdoor activity during peak heat hours between 11 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. Check on elderly neighbors and family members who may be more vulnerable to heat-related illness. And I will say it one more time because it bears repeating. Never leave children or pets in a parked car, even for a few minutes when temperatures are above 100 degrees. Let me give you the complete timing summary one final time, because this is the information that could keep you and your family safe. Today, Sunday. Severe weather begins by early afternoon across the central United States. The squall line forms in Missouri and rapidly intensifies as it races east. Peak danger in the Mississippi Valley is between 4 in the afternoon and midnight. Embedded tornadoes possible all along the line. Discrete supercells may develop ahead of the line with a strong tornado threat. The line continues overnight through Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and the Deep South. A nocturnal tornado threat exists from midnight to 6 in the morning across southern Alabama, southwest Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle. Blizzard conditions continue all day and into tonight across the upper Midwest with snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour. Monday, severe weather shifts to the East Coast. Morning storms across Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina starting as early as 4 to 6 in the morning Eastern Time. Supercells possible in South Georgia by sunrise. Storms intensify across the Carolinas through late morning. The moderate risk zone from South Carolina through Virginia sees peak severe weather between noon and 6 in the evening. The Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Philadelphia corridor gets hit hardest between 3 and 8 in the evening, right during rush hour. New England sees the tail end of the storms between 9 in the evening and midnight. Snow develops on the backside across the Appalachians in the Northeast. Rare snow flurries possible across parts of Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia Monday afternoon. Tuesday. The storm finally moves offshore. Light snow continues in parts of the Ohio Valley and northern Pennsylvania. Cold air pours in behind the system, potentially setting record lows across the southeast and Midwest. The heat dome continues building on the West Coast, with temperatures exceeding 100 degrees in multiple cities Wednesday through the rest of the week. An Alberta Clipper brings another shot of light snow to the Midwest and Ohio Valley. The heat dome reaches peak intensity on the West Coast. Record lows possible across parts of the southeast. We are looking at one of the most significant multi-hazard weather events of the entire year. 3 separate extreme weather threats, a violent severe weather outbreak with the potential for strong tornadoes and hurricane-force winds, a historic blizzard dropping up to 50 inches of snow, and a record-shattering heat dome, all happening within the same 48-hour window across the same country. This is the kind of event that meteorologists study and talk about for years. This is the kind of event that makes it into the record books. But here is the good news. You are watching this right now, which means you are already ahead of the vast majority of people out there. You know what is coming. You know exactly when it is coming, and you know what to do about it. Knowledge is your greatest protection against severe weather. Share this information with your friends, your family, your neighbors, your co-workers, your church group, your community. Send them this video or tell them what you learned. Make sure everyone you care about knows what to expect over the next 48 hours. A 5-minute conversation right now could prevent a tragedy later tonight or tomorrow. And one more time before I go, please drop that comment telling me where you are watching from. I am going to be monitoring the comment section throughout this entire event and providing location-specific updates as this storm unfolds. The more people who comment with their location, the more people I can help with specific timing and threat information. If you are in one of the 270-plus cities I mentioned, tell me. If you are in a smaller town or a rural area that did not make the list, definitely tell me that too. I will do my best to get you the specific information you need to stay safe. This is going to be a marathon weather event. We will be providing continuous coverage as this massive storm system moves across the country. Tonight's overnight tornado threat in the Deep South is extremely concerning. Monday's East Coast severe weather outbreak has the potential to be historic, and the blizzard is already making history right now across the upper Midwest. All 3 events deserve your full attention and your full preparation. Stay safe out there tonight. Keep your weather alerts on and the volume up, especially if you are in the tornado risk zone. Have your safe plan ready. Keep your shoes by the bed and a flashlight within reach. Do not drive into floodwaters. Ever. Do not try to outrun a tornado in your car, and do not underestimate the power of this storm system. It has been upgraded multiple times over the last 48 hours, and every single upgrade has made things worse, not better. Now here is what is coming next, and this is why you want to make sure you are following along with our coverage. After this massive storm system finally clears out by midweek, we are already tracking another potential weather maker that could develop by late next week. Early model runs are suggesting another storm system could bring more severe weather to parts of the country. The pattern we are in right now is extremely active, and we are right in the heart of severe weather season. I am keeping a very close eye on that developing situation, and I will have a full breakdown for you in my next video as soon as the data becomes clearer. We are entering one of the most active stretches of severe weather season that we have seen in quite some time, and there is absolutely no sign of it slowing down anytime soon. Make sure you are following along so you do not get caught off guard by the next system that comes along. One more thing I want to mention before I wrap up, and this is important for anyone who has family members or friends who do not watch weather videos or follow severe weather coverage. Tonight and tomorrow, there will be people across this country who have no idea what is about to hit them. They have not seen a single forecast. They have not checked the radar. They do not know that a tornado could come through their neighborhood at 3 in the morning while they sleep. Those are the people who are most vulnerable. Those are the people who end up in the worst situations during events like this. So please, take 60 seconds right now and send a text message to anyone you know who lives in the affected areas. Tell them what is coming. Tell them when to expect it. Tell them to turn on their weather alerts and have a plan. That one text message could be the difference between someone being caught completely off guard and someone being prepared and ready to act. We look out for each other in this country, and that is especially true when dangerous weather is on the way. Also, I want to address something for those of you who may be feeling anxious after hearing all of this information. It is completely normal to feel a sense of urgency or even some worry when you hear about a storm system this powerful heading your way, but I want you to channel that energy into preparation, not panic. The whole purpose of this video is to give you the information you need so that you can make smart decisions and keep yourself and your family safe. When you are informed and prepared, you are in control of the situation. You know your safe room. You know when the storms are coming. You know what to do. That puts you in the strongest possible position. Fear without preparation is dangerous, but preparation without fear is powerful. And that is exactly where you are right now. For those of you in areas that will not be directly impacted by this storm system, please keep the people in the affected zones in your thoughts. The next 48 hours are going to be very difficult for millions of Americans across this country. Some people will lose power for days. Some will have damage to their homes and property. And unfortunately, with a storm system this large and this powerful, there is always the possibility of worse outcomes. The best thing we can all do is stay informed, stay prepared, and look out for one another. If you have watched this entire video from start to finish, I want to personally say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to stay informed. Thank you for caring about your safety and the safety of your loved ones. That commitment to being prepared is exactly the kind of attitude that gets people through dangerous weather events in one piece. You are ready. You have the knowledge. You have the timing. You have the plan. Now it is time to put it all into action and make sure everyone around you is ready too. I will see you in the next update with the very latest information on how this historic storm system is playing out in real time. If anything major changes overnight or early tomorrow morning, I will have an emergency update ready for you. Stay safe tonight. Stay safe tomorrow.